Hello and welcome. Today is that of Wednesday, 11th day, 8th day of November 2017. Welcome. Everything you do within your own risk, your own reward, and definitely a noteworthy day thus far. We're going to start it off within the 400-minute time frame, which represents 1/3 of a day, close to it, for each of these candles, and a 5-day moving average is represented within the 18. And since this break higher, it had a sweet run up where the only support within the 18 was at here, and then a little bit on the final push. Correctionary move, and then support on a leg lower. Now, after that move, 5 periods in which it resisted the 18 average of lows, and that's normally a bearish thing. And an uptrend within. Well, that's always a symmetrical triangle, and that's very much a bullish situation. So a bearish and a bullish, it's kind of even, isn't it? Well, it's a neutral pattern, so yes. And usually neutral patterns resolve themselves within the current trend, and so or such was the case again in here, as the break had a large size move, and that's not a surprise. Very good move within this little plus looking sign, not much trading, holding the gains, and then this occurred. The market broke resistance, and shortly thereafter that, it was announced that SegWit 2X, no more. It's been canceled. Which makes things really interesting as we move forward. I'm still going to I'm still going to need some time for this to sink in. But it's not going to be as easy now to decide when to put a nice little amount of Bitcoin into alternate coins. But for now, this green candle after this move, I mean, that is just fantastic. First, we had this level of resistance on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th into the 6th. Then this little move, and now this is 4 periods in which it is doing so with some wild movements. Okay, let's shorten this out and see if we can make more sense of what happened in just the most recent time frame. And we're looking at this on the 15-minute time frame. Now, obviously, my sell order, and it's a small one as it is, was a little under 8,000. It didn't hit, no. But this movement, here's the break of resistance, and then it fails. And from just by quick look of it, it seemed it was decently after this rally started in which the cancellation came into play. Of course, that's going to mean people who were playing for the SegWit are going to have to alter their game plan. That's going to cause a lot of volatility within these markets. And here we have it. A fall over 1, 2, 3, 4 periods, about an hour, where it goes from almost, well, 78.88 down to about little under 71. That is, that's 10% in an hour. And since that bottom, it has rallied about a little under 400, about 400 points. So that's over 5% from this low and the current high. Whenever a situation like this happens, and I see a big high, big low, I mean, it obviously can mean a lot of things, range, size, extension, but it's a precursor to a big move as well. And whenever you are somewhere near the middle of that move, we have this high and this low. What I've always liked to do is ask myself the question, what's most likely to be taken out next, and how likely is the favorite? A break above 7,900 or a break below 7,070 or so? Just a whatever, even a tick below the number. And I don't know what the answer to that would be. It's in a situation as far as the market's concerned. Let me take the short-term chart off the screen and go with the daily time frame. But it's already at an area where you'd expect it to pull or retrace. It's only corrected through time for about 5 days. That's not much at all. It's not even close to much. I'd want to see it do at least a dozen and probably a bit more, I can hear, to get a time correction. It did barely or close to touch the 18 average of highs yesterday, and it lifted off from that point. That's a very strong situation. So maybe it can have that decent rally still, but a lot of it is maybe. It's a lot stronger to talk about in here, about saying it's not a maybe. It is full force bullishness when you were breaking. So it makes that part relatively difficult. I do realize that if this thing gets back above again, then you're going to expect that it could have a very nice leg higher, but there's going to have to be a correctionary move down at some point, and it could. The likely areas as we stand are these two, roughly around 6,000, hair below. Same thing with 5,000 down to about 46 or 45. And we'll finish it off within the weekly chart. And from the point it hit this low to its high, there was a total of 12 different periods from the time of this bottom. From the time of this bottom, there was 8 periods. And from this bottom, we are currently on period number 9. So the overextension is there. Where would I draw the range for a break of here? It's at the upper end, wherever I would draw that range. Which means that, okay, you're supposed to start pulling back. I understand you want to go a little bit more than normal. So be it. That's fine. But I'm waiting. I mean, come on. I mean, you're far away. It's time to pull back. And usually they do. But if they don't, you're like, yeah, I don't feel like pulling back. Then now we don't start. We're not talking about just going up a little further, like 9,200. 88.50, that's a very unlikely top. It's more likely that it's already hit or anywhere close to that 8,000 number, which it was close to, or it's going to be substantially noticeably higher than 10,000. And 10,800 is at least substantially noticeably higher, because it would most likely be something like this. Oh, you don't have some resistance. Okay, let's go to 2,000 to 3,000 and make a 50% push. And a 50% push from where we stand is actually closer to around 12,000, 11 to 12,000. So that's why it's interesting times, to say the least. For me, I am in a position where I'm okay if the market goes higher. I'm okay if the market goes lower. I'll be playing forward much differently based on those two events, but it's always about adjusting to the message of the market and the ever-changing message of the market. And today, with the SegWit 2X being canceled, that's ever-changing. I don't know what happened to those people that actually had those tokens of the futures of the SegWit 2X, if you actually lost everything or not. Because it's not available for trade on the, at least the HitBTC website. I couldn't find it on there afterwards. So I find that a very interesting situation, because I heard a lot of big hype about it. And I even was thinking that earlier this afternoon, I mean, do I seriously want to get into this too much? And, well, I know my answer to that now. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.